Okay, this is my 1990 Corvette, C4 Corvette. Been in the garage here all winter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a startup. I like to do a startup every once in a while. Make sure she doesn't seize up. Get the hood open here. There we go. Hood is open. So there it is, C4 Corvette, and you probably can't really see it that great, but here it is. Kind of an underrated, underappreciated car in my opinion, and of course this is only my opinion. This is my car and I love it. I've had this car for 10 years, and you know, a lot of Corvettes are worth a fortune. These ones are not. I got this car for $8,850 10 years ago. I've put very little money into it. It's been extremely reliable. It's got the Chev 350 tune port injection. I gave it a tune-up when I first bought it. I took all the air intake, the aluminum air intake, I took all that apart, cleaned it, I repainted it. I painted the valve covers, and I got these silly little decals there to dress it up a little bit. Same with this bracket. I painted that and the alternator. But other than that, I've done very little. This has been a very good car. These really have not a lot of value, but I think people are missing the boat here, because these are great cars. I think they look good and they're reliable. Yeah, they're not the horsepower that a Corvette would have nowadays, but plenty of power for this car. This is not a very big car. You can buy plugs and wires for this thing for, you know, dirt cheap. When I first saw this car, I wasn't really even a big Corvette guy, but when I first saw this car for sale with the clamshell hood open and the convertible top down, I was hooked. And like I said, I've had this car for a long time, and it's been very good. So I'm gonna hook my battery up here and see if I can give this thing a start. Okay, I've got our battery hooked up. Going to check our oil down here. Oil looks good, nice and clear. Yep. I drive this car very little. I only take it out on sunny days in the summertime, which living in the Northeast here in Canada, which is, the seasons are pretty short, so a Canadian Corvette would actually be a very well preserved car, because we really only run them 3 months of the year. So here we go. I'm going to get around to the driver's side, and I'm going to attempt to start this thing up. Okay, so here we are inside. Just going to adjust the tilt steering down a bit. Excuse my filming. There we go. So see, this car's very nice, very clean. Original seats, original carpets, pretty much as it was. I took the time, when I bought this car, it had an aftermarket stereo. So I took the time to find this period correct cassette player, Corvette radio with the orange LEDs and stuff, and I bought this at a scrapyard here in Nova Scotia that specialize in Corvette parts. And then all my speakers, which this car came with Bose speakers from the factory, and I had took all these out and I shipped them off to, well, the two back ones were working, the front ones were problematic, so I shipped those off to a company in Florida, and they overhauled everything, and then I got them back, installed them, and everything was fine. So I'm going to put the key in the ignition here. There we go. Let's see how she sounds. She sounds good. Put some lights on the dash here. There we go. When I bought this car, I had the gauge cluster out, because I had an issue with, well, I had the steering column out, because I had an issue with the housing and the pins for the tilt steering. I replaced all that, but I still have a little bit of play like this in the wheel. The wheel still just have a little bit of play, but I've been living with it. I had the gauge cluster out. There was a few issues there. I had my I think it was the security system light was on, the seatbelt light was on, so I took care of those problems. Now I do have one more issue that I did not address at the time, and it's that the tachometer, the car is idling right now, but the tachometer obviously is off, so the tachometer reads a little bit too high, but I've been living with that. Car has 107,000 miles on it, which is not too bad for 30 years. Everything works pretty much as it should. That tachometer is not great. Like I said, a little bit of play in the wheel, but other than that, let's try this heater. Let's try the blower. Yeah, the blower works, so there it goes up. Let's get a little bit of wind blowing here. Bring our temperature up, and there we go. Now the car is ice cold, so it'll take some time to warm up. Power seats work. Got my seat working back and forth. This goes back and forth. Works as it should. The power windows all work. Not an issue there. Same with this one. Not an issue. The pop-up headlights, so I got the hood open now. You can cycle them. I got one that's a little bit slow on one side. But all I wanted to do now is today was just start this car up and just get her warmed up, just kind of blow the cobwebs out. And I'm going to pull it out of the garage here, and see, I don't have a lot of gas, and right now with the corona crisis going on, gas is dirt cheap, so I'm going to put a little bit of gas in this car, take advantage of the cheap gas prices. See the alternator's charging nicely, good oil pressure. See if we can pick up a station. Maybe not inside the garage, but there you go. Cyndi Lauper. Right back to the 80s. Of course, well, this is a 90, but close enough. Okay, that's the C4. Alright, I'm going to put this hood down, and I'm going to pull this thing out and get a better look at it from the outside. One of the repairs I had to do when I bought this car was with this key here and the vehicle anti-theft system. So basically on the key you've got this little device here which they call a pellet, and when you put this in your ignition, the computer or PCM or whatever you call it has to read the value of this pellet. I think it's called a pellet. And it's the readings in ohms. And anyway, I did my research online because my anti-theft light kept coming on, and sometimes the car wouldn't start. So when I had the steering column apart to fix the looseness here in the column, I found the videos online, and I was able to find the wire that takes the reading for this pellet, and it's an orange wire. And I just followed the directions online, and basically I read what you do is you take a multimeter on the ohm setting, and you read what your pellet is, and whatever the ohm reading is, then you go to Radio Shack or Source and you buy a bunch of those little resistors, I think, yeah, resistors, and you just wire them together. And you kind of loop around through that orange wire, and you basically fool the computer into thinking that it's reading your key, because in fact it's not reading your key, it's just reading what you've wired to it. So I did this about 4 or 5 years ago, and maybe even more now, and it worked so well that I was even able to go to Walmart. And they told me at Walmart that, oh no, you cannot get a key like this cut. You got to go to the dealer and blah, blah, blah. So I went to Walmart and I told the guy, I said, no, please just cut me a key in this profile. I picked a nice GM black one, and I took it home, and it didn't quite work. And then I matched the Walmart key, which is this one, beside the other one. And it turns out it was just a tad, a little bit too short here. or maybe I should say a little bit too long. So I just ground down the two corners so that this key could go in a little bit deeper. So now I can put this key in. No pellet, no nothing. This is the Walmart key. It cost like $2. And I can start the car, no problem. No problem at all. And I haven't had an issue with this anti-theft. Knock on wood, I have not had an issue since. So again, the 1990. This was the first year for the new interior. So I really like this interior a lot better than the old. The old one had that real 80s digital dash, and it had what they call the bread box on the side here. Mine is well, obviously the bread box is gone. It's got a more smoother dash there with the glove box. The only thing is 1990, first year for the new dash, also first year for the airbag. So my car has this big, ugly, square of a steering wheel, because I mean this is the first generation airbags. This was kind of a big deal at the time in 1990. So airbag, so that's why I got the big ugly steering wheel, but I guess it does make it a little bit safer. There is only one airbag. There's nothing over here. There's nothing in the sides. So yeah, and on the outsides there's a couple of little things that I like about this car, so I'm just going to get outside and shoot a little bit. The car, I just pulled it out of the garage there. It's been there for a few months. It's very dusty, so it usually looks a little bit better than this, but anyway, this is just about running it up and making sure that you know, she doesn't seize up, and just blowing the cobwebs out a little bit. Okay, so this is the car, 1990, again, the C4 Corvette. A lot of people don't like these cars. I think they're crazy. I mean, you can have a fun little car like this, a great car. You put the top down, you can cruise around. It's economical, it's reliable. It's actually fairly comfortable, and it's fun. It even has AC, and the AC works. You can buy one of these for, I mean, I was into this car, $10,000, all said and done, and that was 10 years ago, and I don't think, if I had to sell today, I don't think I'd lose any money. So again, she's a little dusty, but 1990, the same as they brought the C4 out, I believe, in 84, so the exterior was completely unchanged. 1990 was the first year for the new interior, but also one thing I really like is that it was the last year for the round taillights. I really like the round taillights. I think it's just, I think it's 91, maybe 90, no, I think it's 91. They went to where the taillights are a little bit squared off. And I just find that this car looks really good from the back. I love the look of this car from the back. You know, for a $10,000 car, my gosh, you can't go wrong. It does have an aftermarket MagnaFlow exhaust. I'm not sure if those tips are factory or not. I'm not 100% sure. That's how I got the car. It does have that tiny little spoiler in the back, and it's got this little trunk lid. I mean, it's a trunk rack, I guess you can call it. Decorative, I guess, but I kind of like it. And when I got the car, the power antenna did not work, so I just got one of these Walmart ones there, a little black rubber one. I think it kind of suits the car, and you know, it costs about $25. So yeah, that's the look of the car. Excuse the dust. It does have a few scratches and dings, but overall, I have to say that I'm very happy with this. Not the most powerful, not the fastest, but for the money, definitely excellent value. Fun car. It does need a little bit of paint touch up, but I might do that. I might do that down the road. I've had it a long time. I have no plans on parting with it, and fun car. I love how the clamshell hood opens up. I think it's a nice feature. It's a neat feature, and they pretty much only did it in this era of car. So There's the logo there, the Bowling Green, Kentucky. Chevrolet Corvette. That's where they're all built. I'm going to drop the hood back down. And there she is. There's one more thing I was going to show on the inside. Of course, I'm not going to put the top down because it's basically freezing. There's a little, I got a couple of little aftermarket things. Like I don't like too much aftermarket junk, but these, I thought these dressed up the sill really nice, and I like these. I got one on this side, I got one on that side. I got the extra cup holder because you know, we're Canadians and we love coffee, so this is an aftermarket cup holder. And of course the factory ones came here. Of course the ashtray, I don't smoke, but anyway, it did come with an ashtray back in those days. Cigarette lighter, this all works. When I bought this car, this needle was disconnected and the light was burnt out, so it looked a little shabby, but I took this apart and I hooked it back up. I put a new bulb in. And another little aftermarket thing I got, just for fun, was this. I got it from Eckler's. It's just a little decal, and it talks about this particular car, which is the 5.7 or the 350 Chev engine, the tuned port injection, you know, 240 horsepower. It's really nothing in today's standards. I mean, a Toyota Camry could probably eat me alive, but yeah, that's okay. They can have their Camry. The torque, compression ratio, of course the engine is an L98. Not the most sought after, but it works for me. I think it's good. I like it a lot. I think, you know, yes, I mean, if I had $100,000, I could buy a C7 or a C8. Well, C7, because I mean C8s aren't quite out yet, and if you're Canadian, a C7 would cost $100,000, if not more. And it would be a much, it would provide a lot more performance. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I'm not trying to say that, but I mean, for putting the top down on a nice summer day and going for a cruise, you know, my $10,000 investment suits me just fine. Little cubby area back there. I got my Corvette repair manual back there. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. So yeah, little center console here. Got some junk in there. Button to release the back lid to stow the roof. And this all lights up. The interior lights work. Everything pretty much works as it should. Okay, I'm gonna get out now. Well, the whole point of this was to run it, so I guess I better just let it run, let it warm up. So here's the car running. The engine runs very well. I haven't done much to this engine. Like I said earlier, I cleaned it up when I first got the car. I changed all the, I did the plugs, wires, distributor cap, coil, things like that, belt. I did go through an alternator and a battery, but that's just normal stuff. My C4 Corvette, just giving her our little run on a winter's day. Absolutely freezing out, but a few more months it'll be summer. Okay, that's all.